4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 5-minute time check, stations. Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 2 minutes from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 2-minute time check, stations. Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 1 minute from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 1-minute time check, stations.
On the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield, this is Hawk Talk, presented by View Rooftop Downtown Iowa City. Also brought to you by Bud Light, it's for the fans. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and the Iowa Corn Promotion Board. When corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. U.S. Bank, proud to support Iowa football. U.S. Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Authentic Brand, unique Hawkeye apparel at authentic-brand.com. And by Iowa Office of Secretary of State. Visit voterready.iowa.gov. Get in the game, be a voter. Now, here is your host, the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Everybody, it's a new season of college football. A couple days away for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And a new year of Hawk Talk, live from the View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City on a beautiful late summer day. Glad you could join us here personally, locally, in-house, or certainly on the Hawkeye Radio Network. 55 stations strong, anchored by our flagships, WHO in Des Moines and WMT in Cedar Rapids. I'm Gary Dolphin. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight or joining us live as the Hawks get ready to host FCS Football Championship Series Power South Dakota State this Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Kinnick will be a noisy building. I mean, it always is, but this fall the entire 7-game home slate is sold out. Thank you, Hawk fans. Old and young and medium age. It's going to be a great year for Hawkeye football. The strength of schedule has improved from 50th a year ago to 22nd this season, and why not? I mean, the Hawks have road games at Ohio State, Minnesota, Purdue, and Illinois. Iowa will host defending conference champion Michigan, Iowa State, Wisconsin, Northwestern, and Nebraska. In fact, 3 of the 4 trophy games are in Iowa City. So there's plenty to get excited about in terms of rivalries, in terms of personnel matchups. This young Iowa team, by the way, it's the second youngest roster in the Big Ten, and yet 15 starters return on both sides of the line of scrimmage, as well as a couple on special teams, most notably Torrey Taylor, the All-Big Ten punter. He of the Ray Guy watch list this year. So plenty of talent comes back, including starting quarterback Spencer Petras, the fifth-year senior, is number one. It's his job to lose. He'll get some heat from backups Alex Padilla, who started a handful of games last year when Spencer was hurt. Joe Labus, the redshirt freshman, has been impressive. But for now, it's the big Californian, Spencer Petras, who will be at the throttle, 6'5", just a biscuit under 240 pounds. And Spencer, a smart guy, a very engaging young guy. He's been around, started for 3 years now, and so I think he'll do just fine. The offensive line has battled through some injuries here in the fall camp, and hopefully most or all are ready to go on Saturday. The good news about Iowa's offensive line historically is they recruit guys that can play inside or out, can play guard, can play tackle, or go back inside. They brought in a terrific young gifted center from the line of scrimmage, across the line of scrimmage. Logan Jones was a defensive lineman, much in the vein of Tyler Linderbaum, who left for the NFL this past season. Logan's looked really good. Keep in mind, it's his first year. He's going to make some mistakes in snapping the football, but nothing too egregious, we hope. In watching the few practices that I've seen, really like the offensive line and love the tight ends. The tight end group may be as deep as I've seen in a decade. You start with Sam Laporta, the All-Big Ten returnee. Luke Lachey is having a wonderful fall camp. He's ready to bust out. He's been hanging around a couple years now. Of course, he's a legacy player where Ohio State is concerned. Jim Lachey was an All-American offensive lineman for the Buckeyes and won several Super Bowl rings while a member of the Hogs offensive line with the Washington Football Club. So look for Luke Lachey to be prominent again. The transfer, Steve Stylianos from Lafayette, is getting it now. He's coming on strong. They've got a freshman named Addison Ostrenga, who has looked really good, a kid out of Wisconsin. So that tight end group, you're going to see a lot of tight end combinations out there because the wide receiver group has been bitten by the injury bug. Reganey and Johnson have been slowed by injuries. Arlen Bruce has had a tremendous fall camp, and others, but they've turned to a couple of walk-ons. Alec Wick, most notably, from Iowa City, Regina. Then there's a young man named Jack Johnson from Des Moines. So Iowa has recruited really, really well in the last 4 or 5 years. They've always recruited well, but in particular the last few years. So they've developed good depth. Now, that depth hasn't played a whole lot, but I like what I see on the offensive side of the football. The defense should be imposing again with all three linebackers back. Jack Campbell, Seth Benson, Justin Jacobs, all named to the Butkus watch list in the preseason. Of course, All-American Riley Moss returns at cornerback, and up front, man, that young line is ready to terrorize opposing quarterbacks. John Wagner is back for another year. Of course, he'll be the veteran leader. I mean, they only lost Van Valkenburg. Now, Zach was a big component of that Iowa front the last couple of years, and he was a tremendous asset for the Hawkeye four down linemen. So he's gone to the NFL, but Wagner returns, and then names like Lucas Van Ness and Noah Shannon and Y.A. Black and Logan Lee is back, and then a young guy from Southeast Valley High School, Aaron Graves. Boy, has he looked tremendous. Now, he's a pure freshman, but he's going to be out there Saturday and going forward. As I love Kirk Ferentz quote from a week ago, we'd be stupid not to play him. Well, I know Kirk's not stupid, and I've met Aaron in the offseason at an iClub or two, and let me tell you, he is big, he is imposing, and he is some kind of athlete, and he has looked tremendous in the fall camp. He's throwing bodies all over the place. So look for Aaron Graves to get some minutes on Saturday. Good news about that Iowa front, the guys that put their hand on the ground, is there's a lot of depth there. Joe Evans, haven't even mentioned Joe Evans, for crying out loud. He helped lead the team. He was one of the team leaders in sacks a year ago. Deontay Craig flashed a time or two last season, and Ethan Herkett is back from injury, the young man from that powerhouse program, Cedar Rapids Xavier. So the Iowa defense is in good hands. Special teams, you know what Torrey Taylor brings to the table, a 46-yard average from a year ago, but that only begins to tell the tale of Double T from Australia. Taylor, his hang time, his positioning of the football, he when he sticks his toe into that ball, it always lands softly at the other end of the field. Half of his punts a year ago, half of his punts died inside the 20, and many died inside the 10. You know, I don't need to remind you, the Hawks had 150 yards, of total offense against Iowa State, and still won the game by 10. That had everything to do with Torrey Taylor. Some weekends, your special teams and your defense need to win football games. There are games where the offense isn't clicking, and hopefully that won't be the case this year for Iowa, who needs to improve in the passing game. They know that. They understand that, most notably Spencer Petras. So those are some of my thoughts. You know, in the end, the Hawks have a chance to defend their West Division title if that offense can hold serve, because the defense and special teams will definitely be solid again. Of course, health, lack of injuries are always they always factor into any success that a team has, and the Hawkeyes stayed relatively healthy a year ago. They lost a few guys to injury, but ultimately won 10 games, lost 4, and hopefully will successfully defend their West Division championship. So that's my opening salvo. What are your thoughts? You can reach us on Twitter, on Facebook. As a matter of fact, we've got a nice incentive for you to reach out to us on the social media platforms this year, because Authentic Brand is jumping on board. Submit what we consider to be the most interesting question each week via Twitter or Facebook for Coach Ferentz, and you could win a $100 gift certificate for Hawkeye gear from Authentic Brand. And tonight's winning question will be picked a little bit later on. So log in on Twitter at Gary Dolphin or at Iowa_Learfield or at hashtag Hawk Talk. You can reach us on Facebook at facebook.com/Voice of the Hawks or HSP Learfield. That stands for Hawkeye Sports Properties Learfield. YouTube, we're in the chat room of our live video feed on YouTube, typically courtesy of Authentic Brand, and I might say we're live again tonight and this year on KCRG 9.2 out of Cedar Rapids, but throughout eastern Iowa, eastern and central Iowa. So thank you, KCRG 9.2. Of course, most notably, we're at View Rooftop, where every Wednesday night now for the next, 3 months, we'll be here for Hawk Talk. Stop by on football Saturdays to View Rooftop for a new experience unique to Iowa City. Immerse yourself in an invigorating environment with comfortable contemporary indoor and outdoor seating. It's jammed pretty good on the outdoor patio tonight. Remember, we're 12 stories up. We're on the top of the building. You got a great view of surrounding Iowa City, downtown Iowa City. You can see the campus from here, as beautiful as it looks up close. It looks just as nice from a distance, and the surrounding Johnson County farmland. So come on out to View. You can sit inside or in air-conditioned comfort inside or outside. Let the sun warm your frame and enjoy a cocktail, cold beer, pop, soda, if that's your choice, or a nice cold glass of water while you look at that delicious menu here at View Rooftop. Enjoy the camaraderie and celebrate with a toast at VUE, View Rooftop, at the Hilton Garden Inn in downtown Iowa City. You can call for reservations for game day at 319-519-4650. I wouldn't delay too long, though. 319-519-4650, because you know if the seats are being sold at Kinnick and they're sold out for 7 games, and people have a need to go elsewhere, and this will be the hot spot. I want to mention, Chris brought me a note here at View Rooftop. Dueling Pianos will be here this Friday night to kick off the Labor Day weekend. Now, if you've never been to a Dueling Pianos concert, man, you are in for a treat. This Friday night, September 2 at 10 p.m., Dueling Pianos will take you into the Labor Day holiday, and tickets are available online via View's website. Just go view.com, VUE.com. All right. We're going to get, Kirk will be here, by the way, at around 7 o'clock this evening, another 15 or 20 minutes. Tonight's Hawk Talk with the head coach is sponsored by our friends at Bud Light. Bud Light proudly welcomes Hawk fans back to Kinnick Stadium this year. Bud Light is for the fans. All right, give us a shout on Twitter, on Facebook. Again, on Twitter, at Gary Dolphin or at Iowa. We've got a number of at Iowa_Learfield, at Gary Dolphin or at Iowa_Learfield. We have a number of questions already on the Twitter feed that we'll get to when Coach gets here. Haven't talked any about South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits, they won 11 games this past fall. They made it to the Final Four of the FCS championships. If you remember, in the Missouri Valley Conference, they played a short schedule last spring. They played a 6-game regular season schedule, and then the FCS hosted playoffs. South Dakota State got to the championship game of the FCS playoffs and lost a heartbreaker, and then got to the Final Four this past spring and lost to Montana State, who ultimately lost the championship game to North Dakota State. Nothing new there. North Dakota State as strong as ever. They play some kind of par excellence football in the Dakotas, and South Dakota State is the new kingpin in that neighborhood. In fact, beat North Dakota State this past year. So we'll talk about head coach John Stiegelmeier. He's 25 years in at Brookings up in South Dakota State. He and Kirk have a lot in common. I don't want to say they're old school football, but they believe in the fullback, the two tights, big old powerful offensive line. And, oh, by the way, they have 12 young men from Iowa, a dozen Iowa natives on the roster. Several of them outstanding football players, including the leading tackler for the last 2 years is from Solon High School, just up the road. How about that? We'll talk about South Dakota State and delve more into the Hawkeye lineup, or the Hawkeye Two Deeps, when we come back to View Rooftop. This is Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz from Learfield.
Knowing that I can make a difference in my patients' lives keeps me motivated every single day. Hi, I'm Dr. Kanya Ferguson at University of Iowa Healthcare. With academic medicine, we see the toughest cases, so we're always innovating. And we bring the best minds together to collaborate, so there's more brain power focused on you. Because that leads to exceptional care for our patients and our community. See how at uihc.org.
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At US Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. US Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
Hi, this is Hawkeye coach Kirk Ferentz. My players know that determination and strong will can lead to endless possibilities. That's true no matter what field you're on. With less than 5% of Iowans making a living off the land, the Iowa Hawkeyes are proud to celebrate the dedication of Iowa farm families who work every day to provide our country with the food, the fuel, the fiber that we all depend on. Farmers are the backbone of this country. That's why our players are proud to wear the ANF logo on their helmets. It serves as a reminder to all of us that America needs farmers. Join the Hawkeyes and the Iowa Farm Bureau as we celebrate farmers during ANF Game Day on October 1st. You could win the ultimate ANF fan package, 4 reserve seats, sideline access, and an autographed football. To register, visit americaneedsfarmers.org.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? Let's break it down. Innovative tech means smarter and safer driving. Intelligent all-wheel drive will keep you ready for anything. And built Ford tough trucks will always get the job done. Plus, come into your local Ford store today and get super low APR financing, big cash back, and great lease offers on Ford's full line of cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Sales claim based on calendar year sales.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Stephen Hartzell, host of the College Sports Now podcast. Every week, we're talking about football with some of the biggest names in the game. Subscribe to College Sports Now wherever you get your podcasts and follow along on Twitter at CSNowTweets.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk at View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City. 12 floors up. It's beautiful up here. Great view of the Hawkeye land, as we call it, and love it. University of Iowa campus, downtown Iowa City and surrounding Johnson County. Coach Ferentz will be here shortly. He's ready for some football after 8 months of transition from the Citrus Bowl, recruiting and spring ball, the transfer portal, NIL, all the other outside racket and rattle. Lots of good things happening with our student athletes who are in the second week now balancing academics with football and settling in for the fall that pleases the coach. Kirk's big on pattern, routine, and consistency. There's a lot to juggle in between those 2 and 3 hour morning practice sessions and the rest of the day. And Coach really likes the attitude and effort of his guys as we hit game week for South Dakota State. More about South Dakota State coming up in just a minute, but I have not even talked about Fry Fest, which is coming up here in a couple days out in Coralville in the Iowa River Landing. There'll be hundreds of Hawkeye fans moving about, and for good reason. Also that evening, it brings the 33rd Iowa Letter Winners Club Hall of Fame class, including football's Dallas Clark. The great Dallas Clark will be in town. Amy Fowler from field hockey. Softball's Carrie Knopf. Baseball's Keith Noreen. George Roddy will be honored in golf. Swimming and diving's Nancelia Underwood. And wrestling's Dan Holm. Holm won the 158-pound NCAA championship back in 1975. 3-time All-American, and he led the Hawkeyes to their first ever NCAA team title under then head coach Gary Kirtlemeyer, and a foundation piece really for Dan Gable's incredible run at the helm. Iowa won back-to-back Big Ten championships in 1974 and 75, and Dan Holm was the catalyst.
But I was the only senior on that team, and so, you know, it was quite a team effort, just not mine. All those kids came back, and they won it again the next year. So,
McCuskey, Kirtlemeyer, and Gable. Talk about an excavating company that not only plowed the dirt and laid the base, but poured the foundation, and Iowa was off and running. That must make you very proud, you and your teammates from that mid-'70 era.
I came back my sophomore year, and all this was happening. Coach Gable showing up, Roy Carver in the background. We had all these guys show up to be assistants, volunteer assistants, and working for world team positions, training. Quite a turnaround. Boy, that just started it all.
And I know how wrestlers are just as prideful of Big Ten championships as any NCAA title, because after all, the Big Ten is king. You helped lead Iowa to back-to-back Big Ten championships. You really set the baseline, didn't you?
Yes. Coach Gable had a saying when he came to the room, we're going to take it to the next level. And we all took him serious, and we all applied ourselves. And again, I'm going to emphasize the team effort on this, because one guy can't, you know, he can get his trophy and go on home, but to get a team title and get the first one for Iowa, I think of all those guys, all 40 of them in the room.
You took my next question, because, you know, you talk to golfers like Zach Johnson, and he'll tell you, you know, it's never me against the other guy. It's me against the golf course. Wrestling is somewhat individualistic. It's you against him, but I don't know that there's another sport that takes more pride in team titles.
It's hard to do. It's very difficult. Penn State's leading the way now, and we're right there with our new recruiting classes coming up. We've got the power, so we're going for them. We're going for them.
Besides you, who are the characters that you remember, quote unquote, off that 2-3 stretch, 74 through 76? Tell me, give me a good story.
The stories are something else from the other guys. It really is. But we had a great time, great team effort. Again, here I am getting an award. The first thing I do is think about 40 guys, the work we put in, the coaches, Gable. I could tell you a story about Gable kicking my butt one night. I took him down, senior year, 2 weeks to go before the Big Tens. And we started scrimmaging, warming up, and that lasted about 30 seconds. And we were covering 3 mats, and he was getting the best of me, but finally I caught him on an ankle pick, my first takedown against him. And I stood up, cackled, did you see that? I scored. And I'm walking around bragging. And all of a sudden the whistle blows. We're going to match. I turn around, and Gabe was looking right at me.
Emotions run high with Dan Holm when Dan Gable's name surfaces. And Gable, he finished that story. He said, Gable's looking right at me. He said, get back on the mat. Now, if you follow wrestling, and that's probably a question I shouldn't even ask around here, they have 2-minute periods and then 1 3-minute period. Gable would have 15-minute periods with guys that he loved the most, so he could throw them all over the mat wearing that wetsuit or that rubber suit. And Holm was so proud of the fact that he clipped an ankle and took him down. And not many people scored on Gable in practice. So when Gable said, get back out there, 3 15-minute periods. That's 45 minutes of wrestling. And Dan Holm, let me tell you, he's still in great shape. He's born in Chicago, now living in Marion. Holm says he'll be forever grateful for the chance that the university gave him to come to Iowa. He grew up in Libertyville, Illinois, and made Iowa his home after his All-American career here under Dave McCuskey recruited him. Gary Kirtlemeyer was head coach when he led him to the Iowa's first ever national championship. Think about that. And then he also led him to back-to-back Big Ten titles. 3-time All-American. He'll be going into the Hall of Fame with those other now glorified names that I mentioned earlier, including our buddy Dallas Clark, and we'll mention those names again before the evening's over. But that's Friday night. They'll all be out at Fry Fest in the convention center in the Iowa River Landing on Friday afternoon for a panel discussion. Ed Podolak and I will be there to give a preview at 2:30 of what we expect, what Eddie expects coming into the season. And of course, it's one of the biggest garage sale flea market atmospheres you'll ever see. Fry Fest, all in honor of the great Hayden Fry, coming up this weekend as part of the Labor Day weekend celebration that opens up the 2022 Hawkeye football season. We're at View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City. We're brought to you in part by Quick Start. Hawk fans, when the Hawkeyes win, you win. 2 days after a Hawkeye football victory, you can buy one delicious pothole frozen pizza with quick rewards and get a second one free at any Quick Start location. Pothole Pizza at Quick Start, proud partner of Hawkeye football. And thanks to U.S. Cellular, America's locally grown wireless and official wireless partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Join the national network built by locals for locals. More Hawk Talk with the coach. He'll be here shortly from View Rooftop in just a minute. Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz from Learfield.
Hello, seafood fans. This is Bruce Gerlman, and I own Splash Seafood Bar and Grill. Have you been to Splash lately? Come back downtown and let me spoil you. White linens, fresh flowers, candlelight, award-winning wine lists, professional staff, and best of all, my fresh fish are jetted in from Hawaii every morning. Enjoy my homemade lobsters, Alaskan king crab, fresh oysters from the cold, clear, clean waters of the Pacific Northwest. My favorite is the surf and turf featuring my hand-cut prime steaks and lobster. Splash, a truly special evening of adult indulgence.
Contractors, you're busier than ever this fall, but you've got this with high-quality building materials from Spahn & Rose, like GAF. Use the Spahn & Rose Visualizer to plan the perfect roof and blend an elegant architectural look with exceptional performance. GAF, we protect what matters the most. With several Spahn & Rose locations nearby, you can focus on life's other important things this fall. Spahn & Rose, buy easier, build better.
Earning $100 in free play at Wild Rose Casino and Hotel is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Sign up to be a part of Club Wild and you could earn up to $50 in free play on your first visit. But it doesn't stop there. You could earn an additional $25 in free play when you come back a second and third time. When we say you'd rather be here, we mean it. Join Club Wild today and you could earn up to $100 in free play. See Club Wild for details.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Stephen Hartzell, host of the College Sports Now podcast. Every week, we're talking about football with some of the biggest names in the game. Subscribe to College Sports Now wherever you get your podcasts and follow along on Twitter at CSNowTweets.
At Golden Harvest, our best skill is knowing how to listen. From our Gold Series soybean and game-changing corn portfolios to our expert insights housed in the Illuminate digital agronomy platform. Everything we offer is an answer to what we've heard from you. This is how we listen.
Copyright 2021 Syngenta. The trademarks or service marks used herein are the property of a Syngenta Group company. All other trademarks are the property of their respective owners.
After a cancer diagnosis, it's natural to want to start treatment right away. But first, get a second opinion from a team that specializes in your cancer. I'm Dr. George Weiner, Director of University of Iowa Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center. Before you start treatment, you deserve to be confident you have the right diagnosis and know every option available to you. So whether it's with us or somewhere else, get a second opinion. It can change your care and your life.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. I'm Gary Dolphin. Ed Podolak talked to Eddie today. Boy, is he fired up. He was fly fishing out in Colorado for a few weeks. I think he caught his limit and had a great time out there. So he's relaxed. He is so excited to get here this weekend for Iowa football with South Dakota State. And speaking of South Dakota State, he's going to see a tremendous program, a tremendous team this year, a team that has been to the FCS playoffs 10 straight years. They're in the national championship game last spring when they play an extended season. This is a football team that has played, 21 games last year in 2021, 6 in the spring and 15 in the fall where they reached the Final Four. They're resilient, they're physical, they're tough, and they'll come in here loaded for bear. Their head coach is very Kirk Ferentz-like. 25 years, John Stiegelmeier has been the head coach in Brookings. He grew up in small town of Selby, South Dakota, population 600, up in north central part of the state where it crowds the boundary line of North Dakota. He appreciates where he's at. He appreciates this moment coming up on Saturday.
We have not been in this situation before because I believe this is the best football team we'll play in my 35 years here at South Dakota State. And in fact, there's no doubt in my mind. And so, Adam Bach's going to have 100 people there from his hometown. He doesn't need me to say anything. But what they need to hear from me is how big this challenge is going to be, and how if we're going to have any chance, we have to play our best football and be error-free.
And they've been pretty much error-free against Division I opponents. They beat Colorado State last year. I mentioned they beat North Dakota State, put 27 points on the board against North Dakota State. That's hard to do. If you follow football, you know how good the Bison are. But this Jackrabbit outfit, he mentioned Adam Bach, middle linebacker from Solon High School, 215, 20 pounds. He was a little undersized. Iowa certainly took a strong look at Adam in the recruiting process, and we'll get Kirk's thoughts on Adam Bach. They have an outstanding front four rush team led by a young man from Glenwood, Iowa, Caleb Sanders, preseason All-American pick. Ryan Van Marl, a young man out of Sheldon High School. Who's from Sheldon, Iowa? The Brands brothers. So this kid is tough. He, too, is a preseason All-America pick. So he had 3 block kicks last year. A 280-pound defensive tackle had 3 block kicks last year, a couple field goal attempts, and I believe a punt. Yeah, a punt was the other one. So they've got a very good front four. I mean, they just got a good football team. They lost their outstanding quarterback. He's still on the Steelers roster, unless he got cut today or yesterday. Chris Oladokin. I mean, they're legit. Kirk will be no doubt raving about him when he gets here. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. Gary Dolphin, we're live here on the Hawkeye Radio Network at View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City. 10-second station identification break. You're listening to Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz. When we come back from an all-important timeout to plug our good sponsors who bring this show to you each and every Wednesday night throughout the fall, we'll go to your tweets, we'll go to your Facebook posts, and Coach Ferentz will be more than happy to answer your questions or your comments. Okay, back with more Hawk Talk in just a minute from Learfield.
We all love a good win, catching up with friends, saving money at the pump, soaking up the perfect Iowa day, sitting down to a really, really good meal. These are the everyday delights that make us smile. These are the moments that connect us all as Iowans. And these are the wins that, more often than not, start with Iowa's farm families and the crop they're growing. Because when corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Learn more about how to share your own wins at iowacorn.org/Iowans win.
Knowing that I can make a difference in my patients' lives keeps me motivated every single day. Hi, I'm Dr. Kanya Ferguson at University of Iowa Healthcare. With academic medicine, we see the toughest cases, so we're always innovating. And we bring the best minds together to collaborate, so there's more brain power focused on you, because that leads to exceptional care for our patients and our community. See how at uihc.org.
You probably know that a natural gas leak smells like rotten eggs, but what does a gas leak look or sound like? If you hear a whooshing or hissing sound, see dirt, dust, or water spraying from an area, or you get dizzy or queasy, leave the area immediately. Then call 1-800-595-5325 once you're safely away. See MidAmericanEnergy.com for more safety tips.
Paid for by the customers of Mid-American Energy.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? Let's break it down. Innovative tech means smarter and safer driving. Intelligent all-wheel drive will keep you ready for anything. And built Ford tough trucks will always get the job done. Plus, come into your local Ford store today and get super low APR financing, big cash back, and great lease offers on Ford's full line of cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Sales claim based on calendar year sales.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Gary Dolphin here. You've heard me talk about Authentic Brand's premium Hawkeye apparel. But did you know that Authentic Brand manufactures a full suite of made-to-order company merch with infinite colors and decoration options and detailed trims that make your branding pop? Insist on the Authentic Brand label from your supplier or get connected to one of their authorized project partners. Visit authentic-brand.com and search the word project. Again, that's authentic-brand.com and search the word project.
Thank you for joining us in person and along the Hawkeye Radio Network tonight, our opening night for Hawk Talk with Iowa football coach Kirk Ferentz, who will be here shortly. The Hawkeyes and South Dakota State will kick off at 11 o'clock at Kinnick Stadium on Saturday. Look forward to seeing all you tailgaters at sold-out Kinnick Stadium as we join you on the Hawkeye Radio Network starting at 9 a.m. 2 hours of pregame coverage with Ed Podolak. Rob Brooks is back with us. Andy Peterson will anchor that first hour. 15 starters back, 7 on each side of the ball, and punter Torrey Taylor. Spencer Petras has had enough of spring and fall ball. He says it's time to play.
We've been through the 8+ months of preparation in the offseason. It's time to go out there and compete against an actual team and to score touchdowns, to make first downs, and to have a score. It's time for that. I feel it. I think our rest of our players feel it. Our coaches feel it. It's time to go.
A lot of people feel the Hawks are a top 25 team. They weren't ranked in the top 25. Linebacker Seth Benson, who grew up in Sioux Falls, said he could care less.
No, all I'll really say is that didn't really matter right now. Obviously, that matters in January. So we're just going to take it one game at a time, one practice at a time, and just focusing internally with our guys and the people in this building because, we got trust in each other and we're ready to go.
Young wide receiver Arlen Bruce IV. He's from Kansas originally, had a terrific year last year, kind of his breakout, his debut season, and he has all the respect in the world for every opponent. The Hawkeyes do, particularly South Dakota State.
I know people like to bring up the loss to North Dakota State a few years back, but we treat every game the same. Every game is a big game to us. Like, people will bring up, our family members even bring up, like, oh, are you ready for the Michigan game, Cy-Hawk game? Like, we treat every game the same.
Arlen Bruce, he'll be prominent in that passing game on Saturday at 11 o'clock kickoff here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. We'll take a break, come back with Coach Ferentz in a minute. I do want to mention, though, before we go to commercial, Lisa Salucci, who heads up that heralded University of Iowa field hockey program, won her 100th game, her 100th match over the weekend in the Big Ten ACC Challenge down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Congratulations, Lisa. That's just something about our female coaches that are named Lisa. They're pretty doggone good. I mean, they're all good, but between Bluter and Salucci, it doesn't come any better than that. So Lisa Salucci's 100th coaching career win. She's the 4th Hawk head coach to achieve the century mark in her incredible career. And that came at the end of a double overtime 2-1 victory over 20th ranked Winston-Salem last Friday. And on Sunday, the Hawks had a 2-0 lead on second ranked North Carolina only to see the Tar Heels rally for a 3-2 overtime defeat in that Big Ten ACC Challenge in Winston-Salem. And that loss was the Hawks' first against a non-conference foe in 2 years, excuse me. So congratulations. It looks like the Hawks are going to have another tremendous season in field hockey. And Lisa Salucci, who was a great player at Iowa, is now a great coach worthy of Hall of Fame mention if and when she ever retires. Okay, way to go, Lisa Salucci. We're brought to you tonight by Iowa Corn. When corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Take a closer look, and you'll discover the many connections you have to corn. Over 4,000 products are derived from corn. Those connections translate into victories for farmers and wins for all Iowans. Share your winning moments using hashtag #IowansWin. Speaking of a winner, the coach is on board, and he joins us. Kirk Ferentz will join us next from View Rooftop on Hawk Talk from Learfield.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Stephen Hartzell, host of the College Sports Now podcast. Every week, we're talking about football with some of the biggest names in the game. Subscribe to College Sports Now wherever you get your podcasts and follow along on Twitter at CSNowTweets.
Hi, this is Hawkeye coach Kirk Ferentz. My players know that determination and strong will can lead to endless possibilities. For years, Iowa farmers have believed in that too. Farmers are the backbone of this country, and their dedication to bringing us food and energy has never been more important. That's why we're proud to wear the America Needs Farmers logo on our helmet. Join the Hawkeyes and the Iowa Farm Bureau as we celebrate farmers during ANF Game Day on October 1st. For more information and to win game day tickets, visit americaneedsfarmers.org.
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At US Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. US Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
You probably know that a natural gas leak smells like rotten eggs. But what does a gas leak look or sound like? If you hear a whooshing or hissing sound, see dirt, dust, or water spraying from an area, or you get dizzy or queasy, leave the area immediately, then call 1-800-595-5325 once you're safely away. See MidAmericanEnergy.com for more safety tips.
Paid for by the customers of Mid-American Energy.
When you set up a savings goal with U.S. Bank, it grows with you. There's no limit to what you can crochet. Can do. Doesn't have to be crocheting, but it totally could be. Like the headphones you're listening to this ad with, you could totally crochet those. There's no telling where your savings goal will take you. Maybe you'll save enough for yarn to crochet your house or the whole town. Oh, right. Doesn't have to be crochet related.
Set up savings goals on the US Bank mobile app, even for the wildest of dreams. US Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Save with low price lockdown from Hy-Vee. We've locked down prices on hundreds of your favorite everyday items. Prices are locked down for months and months on major leading name brands. The products that you like, the products that you want, and products that you'll want to stock up on. And all of the prices are locked down until we unlock them and lower them even more. Low price lockdown. Deals you can't beat anywhere. Only at Hy-Vee.
Not sure. Let's welcome in the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Kirk Ferentz. Great crowd here tonight at View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City, and thank you for joining us on the Hawkeye Radio Network. You're looking trim and fit and relaxed.
It's good to see you. I don't know about relaxed, but no, it's good to see you. Good to be back in person for first time in a couple of years, and I'm already overstimulated by all the TVs that are going. It's a lot going on.
You're under the bright lights again.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciated you and your adjustments on Zoom and other venues to talk to the Hawkeye fans the last couple of years. You know, and I was speaking to a group earlier this week. Because somebody said 7 all home games sold out first time since 2011. I go, there were a lot of people came back last year, but still those that were hesitant because of COVID and the pandemic, and everybody's listening to a different doctor, and I don't know what the average age is for the Hawkeyes season ticket fan base, but there were great crowds last year and saw a phenomenal season. But now this year, everybody seems to be pumped up. We're a year or two removed from the worst of COVID, and they're all excited for Hawkeye football.
Well, that's a lot of good things about starting this weekend, and that's one of the best ones is just to be back in Kinnick and to have live fans again. And to your point, it seems like it was 10 years ago, but it was only 2 seasons ago that was one of the most surreal things, I think, for all of us. First of all, starting late, dropping the season, then starting late. But the strangest thing was to go in stadiums, and it worked both ways, going on the road and nobody being around the stadium as you pull in. That's a weird deal. And then going in there, and it's like a high school game. Nobody was at the game, or not even a high school scrimmage, not a game. And then, it was even stranger at home because we have such great fans. So it was great to have them back last year. I think that's going to be one of the things we're all looking forward to, is being back in Kinnick in front of a full crowd and full house, and just really, really excited to see our fans.
I think it's ironic, and a perfect irony is that all this excitement, and rightfully so, happens on Fry Fest weekend. Hayden Fry hired you as a young, still wet behind the ears, just a recent grad assistant at Pitt. He took a chance on you as a young offensive line coach. The rest is history. And every time I drive by that statue on First Avenue in Coralville, I think of all the connections that Hayden Fry is responsible for, all of them good. And I know you're reflective, particularly on this weekend, of Fry Fest.
Well, ironically, I just ran into one of Dan McCarney's former players at Iowa State downstairs, and he had a lot of great things to say about Mac. And I shared with him, Mac and I used to sit next to each other in staff meetings and kick each other under the table. I'm not sure who's doing it in our meetings now, but Coach Fry would every now and then. Some of you younger guys, and he was talking to Dan and I. So, yeah, it was one of the greatest things that happened in my life. It was so unconventional, to your point, the way he hired the whole staff, not just me, and, learned a lot of lessons from him, obviously. And I'm not sure anybody on the face of the earth could have done what he did at that point to get this program where he did, and just an amazing man. So I think it's a nice tradition, a great tradition to recognize Coach Fry and honor his legacy here. And having players like Dallas Clark back this week is just that's icing on the cake, if you will.
Speaking of personnel, and we'll get to the players in a minute, but speaking of coaching staffs, you have, I'm looking at the media guide today, and I was thinking about this summer. You have gradually transitioned your staff to a younger age on average, and Reese Morgan, Kenny O'Keefe. You don't just replace those guys. I mean, they're Hall of Fame assistant coaches or coordinators, and I know when you first came in here, you were Google-eyed, wide-eyed over Bill Snyder and Bill Brazier, the coordinators in particular. But you brought in Abdul Hodge in the offseason, former great player here at Iowa. Liddell Betts before him. LeVar Woods has been on board for a few years. Son Brian was a great player here at Iowa, and I know I'm probably leaving somebody out here, but the main point is you've gradually brought the branches to full leaf again with your staff. I know you're proud of them as players and certainly as assistant coaches.
Yeah, we've got 5 guys on the staff now that played here in the last 2 decades, so it's great. And one nice thing about it, like I know those guys pretty intimately, certainly, and it's also just neat to watch their ascension, if you will. All of them went off and did something else after their careers. That's one commonality. And then they all have kind of worked their way back into the profession. You mentioned Abdul. He and his wife stayed in South Florida after his NFL career and waited for their daughter to get situated in college. And then once she did that, then he pursued his desire to be a college coach, went to South Dakota for 3 years. And to me, that said an awful lot about him as a person, about his wife. And, they've been a great addition. He's always been a first-class guy, and he's going to be an outstanding coach. So, yeah, it's really nice to have those kinds of stories on the staff. And I think one thing for sure, they understand the tradition here, what it's like, what it means to be a Hawkeye. And I think that's always good. But I can say the same about the guys from the outside that have joined our staff too. Most recently it would be George Barnett, I guess, from a guy who didn't play here. Liddell did play here. So those last 3 guys hired, and just feel really great about our coaching staff. They really get along well together. They complement each other well, and it's a lot of diversity in opinion and thoughts about things too, and that's healthy.
I think like LeVar Woods, Kelton Copeland is a rising star in the coaching fraternity. Your wide receiver coach, he's really elevated that pass game.
Yeah, I think we have really good guys. It's been fun to watch them all work together, and again, just the growth and development over the course of however many years. It depends on which guy you're talking about, but that's one of the fun things. They develop just like players do too, and hopefully all of us are doing that. That's how you move forward.
Indeed, and we move forward against South Dakota State, 11 o'clock kick on Saturday morning here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. We had just heard a comment from Coach Stiegelmeier, Kirk, before you arrived. He thinks this is the best football team they're facing in his 35 years in the program. He was there 10 years an assistant, the last 25 as a head coach, and I get it. He's heaping praise on the hometown Hawkeyes. You're doing the same on the Jackrabbits, and worthy praise, because both teams have had remarkable 20, 25-year runs. And I know you have a lot of respect for Coach. Looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah, I really am. I've talked to him on the phone, and the record speaks for itself. He's been there 25 years, I guess, as the head coach, and we see each other on film, cross film. That's really where it all began. I'm going back several years ago. I can't remember who I was watching them against, but you saw them play. I remember it was in their home stadium, and they were a team that was just really playing well. Like, they were playing really well. Got my attention, and then, needless to say, we've seen a lot of film since that time. I remember seeing them on TV a year ago during the tail end of the pandemic. They were playing in that spring season, and they had a run in the playoffs. It was very, very impressive. So you can just tell by the way they play, and the whole team plays, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. They're very well coached, play extremely hard. They're very sound fundamentally. And then, the other obvious thing, because they've won games, they've got good players, and they've had guys drafted out. They were a really good tight end a couple of years ago. And last year they had a quarterback and a running back drafted, and that's the thing about, we haven't exactly had that happen here an awful lot, so it speaks a lot about their ability to recruit, identify players, really good players, and then they've got a bunch of new guys coming up, so they've just done a really impressive job. And last thing I'd say, they lost 4 coaches off their staff, but if you look the way he hires, you mentioned Coach Fry, there's a method to the way he does things, and he's got, I think, 3 guys that have South Dakota State DNA, if you will, either played there, coached there, some connection to the program. So my takeaway there is that they know who they are, and what they want to be, and do a really good job of, they're together, and that's really important, I think, in any organization, certainly in a good football team. That's really critical.
They have 2 fairly new coordinators who played there or coached there previously, so they'll be aggressive coming in here. They've got nothing to lose. They understand that. They know they're coming into a hostile environment against a quality program, and judging by your players' comments the last couple of days, they understand what they're up against on Saturday. You've always said respect your opponent.
Yeah, and it's easier when you see the tape, and those aren't things we're just saying. I mean, you watch the tape, the way they play, they get after it, and they're really good. And as I said yesterday, I guess it would have been in the press conference, that whole league right now is just so strong. They've got a lot of really good football teams in that league. South Dakota upset South Dakota State last year. They're a really good program. North Dakota State, obviously, you and I, we've known about them forever. So the quality of coaching in that league, the quality of the players, and we know a lot of these guys from recruiting. So it's they've got our full attention. There's no question about that. And we need to be ready to go. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. And I look at it like last year. We had 2 teams that were ranked. These guys are ranked, I think, 3rd. I think I read that in the FCS polls. And then we got a tough one again, next week, and we'll have another tough one the next week. So, it's your job to get ready. And we're been working through a really, I think, a productive camp and preseason, and now. I think everybody's ready to play. It's just, you get to that point where you hit the wall a little bit, and, everybody's kind of a little edgy, if you will, and it's just time to shift gears and get into a game week. So that's been a good transition for us.
Little itchy, little edgy. That's good. I'll get rid of all that energy on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. We'll come back and talk about personnel-wise for South Dakota State. 12 kids from Iowa, 12 young men from Iowa on the two deeps, and a lot of good players, whether it's Solon or Rock Valley or Sheldon. They've got them, too, and I think it speaks volumes for how good high school football in this state is. Kirk, we got a new feature this year, and it goes like this from Authentic Brand. Submit an interesting question each week that we pick out via Twitter or Facebook for Coach Kirk, and you can win a $100 gift certificate for Hawkeye gear from Authentic Brand. Tonight's winning question comes to us from Andrew, right here in Iowa City, and he asks, how do you spark offensive production after facing adversity at the wide receiver position in fall camp? He speaks, I'm sure, of the injuries that you've been battling.
Yeah, football, it's just part of football, unfortunately, and it'd be a great game if nobody ever got hurt, but it's just kind of the nature of what the way the game is. So the other thing, for whatever reason, it seems to run at certain positions sometimes, and I don't think there's any scientific reason why it happens or doesn't happen, but I'd kind of refer to the John Wooden quote about, focus on what you do have. And I think that's one thing in life we all worry too much about, maybe we're a little short here, not enough of this or not enough of that. And look at our team. I mean, we have a lot of good players. We've got a lot of really good veteran leadership. And, it's just a matter now of finding, if we're short in one area, what can we do to compensate for that? And, I think we're fortunate. We have a good group of tight ends, and it's a better group now than it was 6 months ago. Feel good about our running backs, and I think our offensive line has a chance to be, formidable too. So if we keep improving, everything's got an asterisk next to it, and feel good about the way Spencer and Alex have both competed. So, that's our job as coaches, to find some answers. How do we, if we're short here, how do we make it work here? And that's going to go on all season. It's not just going to be this issue. There are going to be issues that arise. And one thing for sure is people who can handle the bumps and, as challenges arise, how do you handle those? That's a huge part of having a good season or not having a good season. And we talk to our players about that all the time. It's just, we don't know what the challenges are going to be, but we know there are going to be some. So, what do you do? And last year we're sitting there 2 straight losses, and neither one of them were close, which was contrary to the way we've been playing the last several years prior to that. And, so you can't do anything about that. And, we'll figure all that stuff out later, but what we're going to do to move forward. And it's kind of the same way here, so we have some good players, and we'll just get them a little bit more involved and just try to find ways to be creative.
Watching Spencer in practice for the last 5 years, we know what he can do. We know he's smart. He's got a great attitude. Where and how has he improved coming out of the Citrus Bowl to present day?
That's probably what you hope. All older players are a little bit more confident, a little more decisive, a little quicker in their decision making. That's the advantage of experience, and I think he's certainly done that. And I think he's in a good place as far as really understanding what we want to get accomplished and what we expect for him to be doing in certain situations. And I'll circle back to that last question too. The other point. There's been a lot of really good stories historically, too, about a player's out or a player graduates, and all of a sudden the easiest one to cherry pick is Brad Banks in 2002. Nobody even knew who he was in August, and, he almost won the Heisman in December. So, that's a neat thing about sports, and we've got some young guys that are eager to play, and I think they'll show well for themselves, too, on Saturday.
Thank you, Andrew, for the question, courtesy of Authentic Brand. For the $100 gift certificate, which goes to Andrew for asking that question of Coach Ferentz. You can ask your question for Coach each week. Just visit Twitter @GaryDolphin or on Facebook.com/Voice of the Hawks. Authentic Brand is a proud partner, not only outfitting our broadcast crew, but outfitting thousands of Iowa fans on game day. Gear up for game day this weekend and every day in officially licensed Hawkeye apparel and accessories from Authentic Brand. All right, we'll go to Twitter and Facebook for Kirk when we come back here from View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City. This is Hawk Talk with Coach Ferentz from Learfield.
Contractors, you're busier than ever this fall, but you've got this with high-quality building materials from Spahn & Rose, like GAF. Use the Spahn & Rose Visualizer to plan the perfect roof and blend an elegant architectural look with exceptional performance. GAF, we protect what matters the most. With several Spahn & Rose locations nearby, you can focus on life's other important things this fall. Spahn & Rose, buy easier, build better.
Golden Harvest Gold Series soybeans are bred to win. These 19 varieties have strong agronomics within high-demand trait platforms like Enlist E3 soybeans for superior performance all season long. Gold Series soybeans also out-yielded Astro brand soybeans by an average of 1 bushel per acre in 5,542 comparisons. Grow gold at goldenharvestseeds.com/gold-series.
Earning $100 in free play at Wild Rose Casino and Hotel is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Sign up to be a part of Club Wild and you could earn up to $50 in free play on your first visit. But it doesn't stop there. You could earn an additional $25 in free play when you come back a second and third time. When we say you'd rather be here, we mean it. Join Club Wild today and you could earn up to $100 in free play. See Club Wild for details.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
We all love a good win. Catching up with friends, saving money at the pump, soaking up the perfect Iowa day, sitting down to a really, really good meal. These are the everyday delights that make us smile. These are the moments that connect us all as Iowans. And these are the wins that, more often than not, start with Iowa's farm families and the crop they're growing. Because when corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Learn more about how to share your own wins at iowacorn.org/IowansWin.
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At US Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. US Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
When our team takes the field, it's important to have a good game plan. The Iowa Secretary of State and I want you to have a good game plan for the November 8th election, too. It's important to have your voice heard by voting. You have options when it comes to casting your ballot, whether it's at the polls, your local election office, or from the comfort of your couch. Pick the play that works best for you. Remember these 3 important keys for the upcoming election. Visit voterready.iowa.gov, get in the game, and be a voter. Go Hawks.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk on the Hawkeye Radio Network with Coach Kirk Ferentz. Opening night for Hawk Talk, opening game Saturday against South Dakota State. We're at View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City. Above the building, the Hilton Garden Inn on the 12th floor. It's a beautiful night in Johnson County. By the way, I want to mention again, this Friday night, kick off the Labor Day weekend in town for the Hawks in South Dakota State. 10 o'clock for Dueling Pianos. Tickets are available online here at the View via the View website, which is view.com. Dueling Pianos. I think of Norm Parker when your first team that went to the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio, you know, the Riverwalk. It's a beautiful mall type, 5-6 stories, and the river runs right through it toward the Alamo in downtown San Antonio, and they have a Dueling Pianos bar there, or did then. And I remember going in there and sitting next to Norm Parker at the night of the victory after the Alamo Bowl. He just loved going into Dueling Pianos. We sat there and listened. It's a great entertainment. You got 2 guys who are phenomenal, Liberace types, and they'll play your favorite songs, and including the Iowa Fight song. When they played the Iowa Fight song, Norm was even clapping his hands. So we think of Norm often, don't we, in that Iowa defense?
One of the all-time great coaches and great people. You think about Bill Brazier, his long tenure here, and then Norm, 2 of the all-time, outstanding coaches. For sure. And just and both those guys, I was a young guy, as you mentioned, in '81 when I got here. And then certainly Norm, all of us were a little bit younger 20-some years ago. Just a really good role model for everybody on the staff, and that's a big part of putting a staff together too. And boy, he was over the top on that. Just a really good mentor for all of us.
I got that framed pencil print of Norm above my desk at home. His caricature, and it says his great quote is, "Boys do what they want to do. Men do what they have to do."
He had a lot of good ones, and that's one of the best ones he had. And he'd remind the players of that frequently.
And you have to be excited about this defense.
Yeah, we are. It's we got work to do still, but It's up front, at least. It's probably as deep of a group as we've had. Both the defensive line and the linebacker group, and the linebackers had some injuries in the spring, so they really didn't work very much. The 3 starters, but I think that was kind of a blessing because it gave our younger guys a chance to really show what they can do. Jay Higgins is really just climbed the charts as far as his productivity. So I think we've got some good depth there, and working through some things in the back end, and you got a guy like Raleigh Moss, who's one of the better players in the country probably, and really good player, and Kayvon's played a lot. But then you also think about, we graduated 3 guys that are, I saw Matt Hankins made a practice squad, Dane Belton, and who am I leaving out? Jack Kerner. Jack. Only like a 3 or 4 year starter. So, you don't just replace guys like that. It's, we really had some good players back there, and then with Jamari out with an injury, we're a little bit thin in that regard. But I'm sure the guys will play, they'll be ready to go and play hard.
Terry Roberts has played a lot of football for you and really come up with big plays, too. He's solid back there. He's been good on defense and outstanding on special teams. So, coming off the injury from last fall, but practicing well. So, it's good to get him back. And, I think we've got capable players. Cooper's done a great job, but we're not deep. I would not describe us as deep in the back end, whereas up front we've got some depth. Cooper DeJean. And I like your comments about Cooper in the preseason. He's a multifaceted player. Of course, he was a great high school player at Odebolt, played at multiple positions on offense and defense. It's nice to have that chip in your back pocket. Yeah, it really is. And I think he probably could play offense for us pretty well, too. He's a really good player, good athlete, and does everything pretty well. So it's I'll go back to the bowl game where they broke the big play there in that their last possession. He was the guy that was playing left corner and tracked the receiver down in the other near the other pylon, and it's just a great effort play. And think about some of the guys that have done things like that in the last 20 years. Some pretty good names. So that tells you the kind of player he is. He's got a high motor and just never gives up on plays. All right, Coach, let's roll through some Twitter and Facebook questions and posts. Let's start with the important one. Adam, Coach, what is your go-to coffee at Starbucks? That's easy. Dark roast, venti, and black. Nothing in it. Plain Jane. Yeah. Brandon, should we expect more running or passing of the football Saturday? Well, you're always looking for that balance. Yeah, we'd like to be balanced, but for sure, we didn't run the ball the way we needed to last year, and hopefully that's something we can improve upon. I like to think we're a little stronger up front, and I think we've got very capable backs. So hopefully we can get the ground game going. We do better if we can do that. I think most teams do. The win percentage certainly goes up if you can rush the ball effectively. You're excited about Gavin and LaShawn Williams, I know. And then a young man from Hamilton, Ohio, Caleb Johnson, has emerged in the fall. He really has. And, Jazz Patterson's also done a good job. A little different style back, but, boy, he slams it up in there. He's tough. And both those guys are just, they're really good guys to have on your team. They're really positive. They love football, really good with their teammates, and come from I was actually talking to them the other day about it. You come from 2 different parts of the country, yet they're both just really compatible and bring a good vibe to the team, and there's a lot of value in that too. Good vibe. Charity checks in. Coach Ferentz, what's the most important thing to communicate to your team going into the first game of the season? There's a couple things. First of all, just respecting the opportunity and the opponent. I think we all take a lot for granted, certainly in life, and we're all really fortunate we're involved in college football, which is a great game, and it's just great to be part of it. But, that can be taken any time away from me, so just appreciate the opportunities you have. And then beyond that, these guys all have great opportunity to get a first-class education. They got tremendous support. They've got medical support, and, they can also, make a difference in the community. So it's pretty simple program-wise. But when it comes to Saturday, no matter who you're playing, you respect who you're playing. Understand that, in this case, it's really easy because they've got a really good football team. But and then respect the fact that, competition's tough. It's challenging. And if you want to win, you've got to pay for it. So that's the work that we've been doing, hopefully. And, hopefully Saturday we can go out and play. And then really it's a matter of you got to go play hard, and you got to try to play as clean as you can, especially early season football. On Facebook, Eric wants to know what the top priority is coming into the first game of the season, obviously besides winning.
turnovers are always a factor throughout the year, but especially early on when you're hitting somebody in another colored uniform.
Yeah, there's a lot of axioms or truisms in sports and in football especially, but the reason they hang around is because they're true. And at the end of the season and the beginning of the season, so it's bowl competition or first game, second game, and you watch around the country, it's amazing how many times special teams plays or penalties just factor in, or turnovers, just sloppy turnovers. And penalties are going to happen. I mean, that's late at week night, worried about that. But when you hit guys out of bounds or false starts or, the clock runs out as you're trying to get a play run, those types of things, those things really impact the game. And, boy, they can have a big adverse effect on the outcome. So those are things you try to coach against. And then, again, the special teams phase. It's amazing how many errors there are, block kicks or returns, those types of things. First game, and anytime there's a separation between competition, I think once people get in a groove, it's not, the proficiency's not as high, but early season, that's certainly on the list right now.
Definitely a factor, and will be Saturday, hopefully in the Hawks' favor. Before we go to break, back to Twitter, Scott must be from Urbandale. Coach, thanks to you and Mary for all you do for the university. How are the Urbandale kids doing?
Doing well. Yeah, they're doing well. Started Jaden Harrell. He's, mentioned the linebackers getting a lot of work last spring that maybe they wouldn't have gotten. And Jaden really took a positive step, just like Jay Higgins. So he's done really well. And then Max Llewellyn at the defensive ends, a guy who was on the scout team last year, did a really good job. He's just an aggressive, hard-charging guy, and continues to improve. So I imagine he'll be on the field Saturday. I don't know how many snaps, but I imagine he'll be out there. He's got a really high motor, and I think he's got a chance to develop into a really good defensive lineman for us.
More with Coach Ferentz from Twitter and Facebook coming up here in just a minute on Hawk Talk. We're at View Rooftop atop the Hilton Garden Inn, downtown Iowa City. Experience a high-energy rooftop bar with spectacular views of Iowa City and Johnson County. View Rooftop, located on the 12th floor here at the Hilton Garden Inn, features a distinctly modern escape filled with a unique outdoor design. Open all day on Hawkeye football game days with tailgate specials. VUE, View Rooftop, provides a memorable experience with food, music, and the fantastic sight lines of Iowa City. Call this number, 319-519-4650. 319-519-4650. Set up your View Rooftop reservation today. They were telling me earlier this evening that they are all but jammed every weekend, every home football weekend here at View Rooftop. You can check in with reservations if you so desire and spend the entire weekend here wrapped around Hawkeye football. And secure your spot as well for the Hawkeye Block Party Tailgate powered by Kubota. The package includes a ticket to selected games, as well as a pregame tailgate, which includes live music, an upscale all-you-can-eat buffet with beer, wine, and non-alcoholic beverages. It's a perfect option for high-end entertainment or family gatherings every Hawkeye football weekend. Get your seats by calling 1-800-IA-HAWKS, 1-800-IA-HAWKS, or visit HawkeyeSports.com/group tickets. The Hawkeye Block Party Tailgate, powered by Kubota. Join the Hawkeye Block Party. Back to View Rooftop in just a minute. More with Coach Ferentz here on Hawk Talk from Learfield.
If you thought starting a business took courage, imagine starting over after a fire, damaging storms, or a cyber attack. When disaster strikes, business owners count on EMC for fast, experienced claim service. Our countrywide network of local offices ensures we're always ready to answer the call, investigate every claim, explain what's covered, and process payments as quickly as possible. Count on getting back to business when you count on EMC.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Stephen Hartzell, host of the College Sports Now podcast. Every week, we're talking about football with some of the biggest names in the game. Subscribe to College Sports Now wherever you get your podcasts and follow along on Twitter @CSNowTweets.
Another season of women's and men's college sports is underway. Follow your alma mater or favorite team in their pursuit of the prestigious Learfield Directors Cup at L Directors Cup on Twitter and online at thedirectorscup.com. Trophies will be awarded in June 2023 to the winning institutions in all competitive divisions. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics.
Running a business is a lot of work. Luckily, I've got a great partner.
Oh, I think you...
I meant U.S. Bank.
I knew that.
U.S. Bank Business Essentials is a huge help to us.
Totally. Their comprehensive point-of-sale system does it all. Tracks inventory, manages schedules, customizes orders.
Plus, all the regular banking stuff.
If only it could make coffee.
Nah, that's your job.
From point of sale to quick loans, we have many ways to make your business boom. That's what U.S. Bank is for. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At U.S. Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. U.S. Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
Gary Dolphin back with Coach Kirk Ferentz getting ready for the Hawkeyes season opener against South Dakota State, third-ranked South Dakota State. They come from that powerful Missouri Valley Conference League that features North Dakota State, perennial national champ, Northern Iowa, Illinois State. There are so many good teams, to Kirk's point earlier, in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, they call it. We're brought to you tonight from View Rooftop, high atop the Hilton Garden Inn by Wellmark. Blue is caring, blue is convenient, and now blue is Medicare Advantage from Wellmark Advantage Health Plans. Offering all-in-one Medicare coverage, our extensive network, and the confidence of being covered by Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Learn more at wellmarkadvantage.com. Coach, let's take one from Twitter here and one from Facebook before we look at South Dakota State's personnel. Eric, Coach, with transfers and injuries decimating our wide receiver group, what changes do you anticipate making in the coming years in regards to recruiting and the transfer portal with this position, or really any position, if at all?
You know, I don't think dramatic. I got asked that question, at least something similar to that yesterday, and you know, we had a late transfer end of May, early June, and you know, it happened. It's part of the face of college football right now, and I guess we had one at that position last during the season. I guess it was December. So you know, you wish those guys the best. One thing for sure, just on that topic, if a player's not sure he wants to be here, it's probably best they're not here, quite frankly, because it's like playing a game. You know, if you're not 100% into playing the game, you know, bad things are really apt to happen. So, you know, it's just it's part of the deal, and I actually appreciate the guys being candid, and nobody left with hard feelings in either of those cases, and you know, you wish them well, and on they go and on we go. So, but to the point, you know, further point, you know, so really it was one player left here, and there really wasn't much we could do at that point, and you know, had we not had some injuries, you know, hit the position, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But, you know, we're going to try to get the best players we can at every position. If it includes looking in the transfer portal, we'll do it. But you think about a guy like Jack Heflin, just pops into mind. Mekhi Sargent wasn't a portal guy, but, you know, was at Iowa Western, was eligible. The only reason he was there is because he didn't get recruited out of high school. So he was set to play another year, and then we did have an opening, so we were able to bring him in. But my point there, whether it's Mekhi or Heflin or Van Valkenburg, you're looking for a guy that's really going to fit. We got to be convinced he's going to fit with what we do and how we do things. So all three of those guys I just mentioned were perfect fits for us. And we were on a young man who chose a different school last year as a receiver. So, yeah, right now he'd be looking like Dom Perignon out there. But, you know, it's just the way it goes. So, yeah, well, you know, the injuries aren't going to last forever, and we'll get guys healthy, and they'll get back, and we'll be just fine. But in the meantime, we just got to work around those just like you would any position.
Guys that fit the culture, excuse me, fit the Iowa culture. I know that's important with you as well. Cindy on Facebook, Kirk, 24 years in, how do you keep the excitement going year after year after year? I think what she's asking is, what motivates you?
Yeah, she's making it sound like I'm an old guy or something.
Well,
anyway,
24 years in is not old.
Yeah,
certainly.
That's true. That's not bad at all. So, two things on that one. First of all, the world changes so much, pretty much daily, but certainly year to year, month to month. So the world we live in changes. The world that affects our players, the people that we work with on a really daily basis, on a pretty intimate basis, it's constantly changing. So that keeps you stimulated. Because you never have all the answers, that's for sure. You try to get them, but boy, you never have them all. And then, competition itself, that hasn't changed, and the game hasn't changed. When the ball gets teed up for the first time and you get to play, things are all the same then. It's still football. Styles come and go, this comes and goes, but the game is still about competition. So, I guess if you ever get to the point where you're not anxious, you're not, really focused on trying to do your best, it's probably a good sign that maybe time to quit. But haven't had that issue yet. That's, if anything, it's been the other way.
Appreciate all the insight or questions and comments on Twitter and Facebook tonight. It's time for our Club Car Wash Keys to the Game, brought to you by the official car wash of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Club Car Wash, with unlimited membership starting at just $20 a month. There's no better time to join the club, and you can do it easily at clubcarwash.com. Visit clubcarwash.com to find a location near you. Well, let's start with their defense, South Dakota State's defense, and Adam Bach. I know you obviously were aware of him in the recruiting process coming out of Solon High School. You can't take everybody, and you've got great linebackers now, but what impresses you about Adam? Their linebackers are quote-unquote undersized by Big Ten standards, but that just means they're either really tough, hybrid, strong safeties or very fast, quick, smaller linebackers, but they'll hit you and they'll track you down.
He's a really productive player. Just out the sidebar there for a second. So I just talked probably about 2 weeks ago now to James Jones, who was in Cleveland with us, played at UNI. He and Bryce Popp were teammates. Obviously, we didn't recruit either of those guys, and they're both Pro Bowl players. So James is first class, but I mean, we were joking about that, and it just illustrates, you're never 100% in recruiting, that's for sure, and you can't be. So one thing I have learned is move on. Don't second guess yourself. But they've got more than a couple players that could be playing for us or anybody in the country. And Bach has just done a really nice job. I think he had 125, 126 tackles last year. I don't know how many Campbell had, but that's a lot. Like, you start talking about 100-plus tackles, that's a lot, which tells you he's a productive football player, knows how to get to the ball. And my guess is he probably studies a lot of film and knows how to play his position and plays it with great enthusiasm. So we have tremendous respect for him. And I don't coach their team, but you just watch him on film. I'm guessing he's probably a really strong leader on top of it.
Sanders and Van Marl, two kids from Northwest Iowa. Van Marl from the Brands brothers' hometown of Sheldon. Sanders has been solid for several years now.
Yes, and there's so much good football in our state, and a lot of it up in the Northwest corridor. It's just amazing. The population's not that high, but you think about all the players that have come out. And you mentioned LeVar earlier. LeVar, Vanderbosch. I mean, there's been so many players up in that, and the tackles from Glenwood, I believe, but still the western side of the state. There's just a lot of good football players, and boy, I never know how they're going to surface, but those guys done a really good job too.
Quarterback coach Gronowski, he was their starter in the national championship game. Tore his ACL early in that game. Didn't play at all last year. Of course, Oladokin still with the Steelers last time I checked. They've got solid running back in Isaiah Davis. They've got Landon Wolf, transfer wide receiver from Oklahoma State, solid offensive line. But Gronowski, he's the guy that runs everything, and he's been around a while. He's just a sophomore out of Naperville, but he's been around 2-3 years.
So it's interesting, if you go back when I got here 20-some years ago, if you looked at the quarterbacks in the MAC over a 5-8 year period, you could easily make an argument. In fact, you'd win the argument that they had better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. And it's not the same here, but I'll give you an example. I mean, it's Gronowski led them to the championship game a year ago, May, as you said, and got hurt, unfortunately, in that game. And then, last year they play with a guy who gets drafted. And that's not easy. It's not easy to have a quarterback get drafted. You think about how many guys get drafted in our conference or any major conference. It's usually not a big number. So you're talking about a guy that leads them to the national championship or championship game, and then the next guy, the next man in, is an NFL guy. And as I mentioned, 2 outstanding backs. One's playing up in New England. He made their final roster. So just those 2 positions alone in the last however many months that is, whatever that is, 14 months, 15 months. That's pretty impressive, and it just shows you they've got some good guys. And Gronowski's a good runner, a good thrower. Read the comments from their coach during the press conference. Sounds like they're going to be a little bit more prudent with his running, but he'll pull it down and go. I'm sure he will, and I'm sure they'll have design runs.
Isaiah Davis in a backup role last year at 700 rushing yards. And he's solid, 6'1", 220, kid out of Joplin, Missouri. They know how to play the game, that's for sure. So we got about 60 seconds left. Club Car Wash keys to the game Saturday?
I'd go right back to what we said earlier, just, avoiding those big, costly errors. Those are just catastrophic. And then just, it's a matter of us playing hard and playing smart, playing aggressively, and just really curious to see how our guys react, to the older guys and certainly the younger guys. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Coach, off to a great start. Thanks for coming by tonight. We look forward to our visit every week.
It's always good, and I'm going to give a special shout out. I can't see these lights, but my neighbor from high school is here, Craig Adams.
You're kidding, buddy from high school,
and his goddaughter's here going to school, and Craig actually got me to go out for hockey when I was in high school. So,
what position?
I was definitely defense. I was not a score guy,
Hockey?
Yeah.
Well, you're tougher than I ever thought you were then.
That's the only time I ever felt fast in my life, because
you had skates on.
It was relative. I wasn't fast on skates, but faster than I could run.
Well, hi, Craig. Welcome. And his goddaughter goes to Iowa. There's always an Iowa connection in there.
You never know.
Okay.
I think they're at the Field of Dreams today.
Pittsburgh,
and
Iowa City.
He and his wife, Pat, are here. Yep.
Terrific. Well, tell him hi. Go visit with him.
I'm going to find him here.
All right, Coach. See you Saturday.
Thanks. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time. We're at View Rooftop. Those are the Club Car Wash keys to the game. We're also sponsored tonight by Authentic Brand, designed and crafted with an exceptional attention to detail. Authentic Brand is our choice for Hawkeye Game Day apparel. Shop the exclusive selection at authentic-brand.com, where the service is always great and shipping is free. Make Authentic Brand your gear of choice. Hawk Talk with Coach Ferentz tonight has been brought to you by Iowa Corn. Hawkeye football comes your way all year long, courtesy of Iowa Corn. Iowa Corn and the Cy-Hawk Series. It's all about celebrating our student athletes, as well as our state's corn farmers. Just like the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes work hard all year to get ready for the season ahead, so do Iowa's corn farmers, growing a crop used in over 4,000 products. That's a win for all Iowans. Iowa Corn. Hawk fans, download the official Hawkeye football game program by visiting the Game Day page on HawkeyeSports.com. The game program is now digital and free, so check it out. The digital program download at HawkeyeSports.com. That's going to wrap up our first show for the new year. Iowa, South Dakota State coming up on Saturday. Again, our pregame coverage begins at 9 o'clock. Kickoff is at 11, but Podolak and I will be over at Fry Fest on Friday afternoon. Come by and say hi. We have a little panel presentation at 2:30. The Hall of Famers, led by the great Dallas Clark and others, will be on hand as well. The Hall of Fame dinner is Friday night. Hawkeye football and the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State coming up Saturday at 11. We'll see you there. Thanks to View Rooftop. Good night, everybody, from Hawk Talk and Learfield.
On the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield, you've been listening to Hawk Talk, presented by View Rooftop, downtown Iowa City. Also brought to you by Bud Light. It's for the fans. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. U.S. Bank, proud to support Iowa football. U.S. Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. U.S. Cellular, the official wireless partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And by Iowa Office of Secretary of State. Visit voterready.iowa.gov. Get in the game. Be a voter. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.